Once, if you are not offering up trades right now that you think can benefit you in 4 or 5 weeks, if your team is decent, then you're not trying to win your championship. You're just not. Welcome to TFB, the Fantasy Backpack. So today we're going to talk about trades. Not just, not trades just to get you over the hump or get you into a playoff spot or get you a win. Trades that I think are going to win you the league. And I mean trades at the end of the year, you're like, oh, I wish I had gotten this guy. Because when I do my own teams, I have 2 levels of trading. Trades that I need to do to get me wins that week, and trades that I need, or the week, next week, 3 weeks. I like 3 week span for me. I do everything in the 3 week span. So if I make a trade, I'm looking at it in a 3 week span of how is it going to help me win those games? Or I look at it as how is this guy going to help me win the league at the end of the year? And I always put 4 or 5 guys in that category, and I usually don't share them with anyone, but because of the channel, you guys get to know what I know, get the research that I get for free. You don't have to watch the film or guesstimate. So it's 5 guys that I think at the end of the year could win you the league or could propel you, along with other players, of course, to win you the league. Now, a week-to-week trading or 3 week trading, I only do that per team basis. I don't know what you need. And usually I can get the guy and then flip him while he's in the height. That's what I like to do a lot. So, you know what? Let's just get right into it. 5 guys who I think can win you the league that you must have on your team for, I think week 10 is a safe bet for when everything starts changing. When they start being able to play, getting more play time, and you just seeing overall production. Some of them you already have, but a lot of them is just get them now. You can play them a little bit depending on your team, or you can just stash them. So the number 5 guy, number five. The number 5 guy is Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton plays for the Denver Broncos. Now I know what you're thinking. Demarius is there. Saunders is there. Listen, Denver wants to get rid of Thomas. They're looking for someone to trade him. Currently, this week, they're looking for someone to trade with. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on someone like the Cowboys, because the Cowboys are in need of a wide receiver. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up with the Cowboys, and then Sutton gets to play. Now, Sutton, you could just tell there's an air about this guy. He's 6'3", 218 pounds. If you're looking for a comparable, that's Alshon Jeffries. He's not a fast guy by any stretch, but his catch radius is beautiful, and he battles for balls. He has 7 points in his last 3 games. Now, in his last 3 games, his targets have only been 6, 4, 3. The last game being a blowout against Arizona, and that was bad. So he didn't play as much. He has 33 targets. He has 33 targets, 14 receptions, 246 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 7 points in those games. Those are numbers of guys just waiting to pounce. When you're looking for guys that are just there, just look for the guys that are just producing 5, 6, 7 points every week and just need that clear injury or just team deciding, you know what, we're just going to go with you over the guy that we have. Because Demarius isn't going to be back next year. He just isn't going to be back next year. His snap counts, week 4 was at 42 snaps. Week 5 was at 59 snaps. Now, week 6 was at 35 because of the blowout. Now, I like to go 3 games. I really only like to go 3 games because it tells you the most recent, how good a player has been currently. Go back any further than that, and I think you're just you're telling me stuff that's already in the past. His catch average is 17 yards. 17 yards. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Plus, Keenum kind of likes him. I don't know if he loves him yet. Keenum likes Saunders. He likes him a lot. So, I don't like throwing stats at you. I can throw all these stats at you: air yards, route runs. So every time he's on the field in passing situation, he runs a route about 71% of the time. For someone who's considered the third option, that is a huge number. No. So it's one of those things where you look at the guy and you're like, all he needs is more playing time. And that's all he needs. And he's going to get it. Whether it be by trade, whether it be by a Thomas injury, which could happen, or them just deciding, you know what, we want to see what the young guy has going forward. So I would add him to my team. Now I listed all these 5 players in the order I think it's easier for you to get them, or whether you can just pick them up on waivers, or if it's an easy trade to get them away from somebody else because they haven't really broken out or done anything yet. He was targeted 30 times. He caught 14, but of those 30 targets, only about 20 was catchable. So, I mean, you could see the progression. If you're a fan of the team or you watch the games, you can see the progression. Plus, this playoff schedule is San Francisco, Cleveland, and Oakland. You really want to get Sutton on your team. Now, the next guy is, you know what? I should say this too before I go on to the next guy. Courtland Sutton. He's not on this list, but if you've listened to me, you got to be a friend of mine because I just started the YouTube channel, or someone who have been asking me for information. Courtland Sutton is one of the best players that is going to take over in a matter of weeks. You just see it happening. The universe created a way where he can get more snaps now. I was big on this guy since training camp, and now it's just an avenue for him. Now he plays Baltimore, so he played Baltimore, so I would take that with a grain of salt. But he did catch 3 passes. I'm just telling you, just get him on there. I don't need to reiterate 60 times. Get Courtland Sutton. But the next player, this is actually one of my favorite players, and a player that I thought in training camp, hey, listen, if things shake right, this is going to be one of the better players for a late round pick in a late round draft. I think I missed him in one league from a Wisconsin fan. And the player is Geronimo Allison. Now, Geronimo Allison's missed the last couple of games, but he averages 7 targets for about 70 yards in the games that he does play. His average catch is 15 yards. 15 yards. He has 29 targets, 19 receptions, 50%. He has 50% of the team's end zone targets, and he's missed 2 games. Yeah, his last 2 games. And I don't really like giving out stats because I can skew stats to make it whatever works for me. But target separation. So at the point of which he catches the ball, how far is the closest defender to him? Right? So when Geronimo Allison catches the ball, he is an average of 2.3 yards away from the defender that's guarding him. That's 9th in the NFL. Now I know all of the guys, I know MVS and all the other receivers in Green Bay has been filling in, and Adams does his thing. Adams was my number 1 wide receiver pick this year just because of the touchdown and volume he'll get from Aaron Rodgers. Now, if you know anything about Green Bay, and I'm sure you do, whether it be Jordy, Adams, Cobb, this offense, in order to operate properly, needs at least 2 wide receivers. At least 2 wide receivers. And has to be 2 wide receivers on the same page with Rodgers. The third guy, Cobb, is still there, so he will always fill in as the third guy if he's ever not injured. But that happens a lot lately. So with Jordy, you saw Devontae come on. Now with Geronimo, I'm all big on love, quarterback, wide receiver love, and Aaron Rodgers loves him. Even when he's been out, in most of Aaron Rodgers' interviews, he talks about how far ahead he is compared to the other wide receivers. He's commenting and complimenting the other receivers, but he's also saying, hey, this guy was ahead of these guys. These guys are just catching up. So as soon as he comes back, he's going to hit the ground running. I need to have him on all my teams, but I know certain teams where people are Green Bay, Wisconsin fans, whatever. I'm never going to be able to get him, but I want him on all of my teams. So go get him. Just go get him. Now, the next guy. Stop me if you heard this one before. Athletic, strong, big, just all around 5'2". Corey Davis. You heard me. Corey Davis. I know. Relax. Okay, relax. Like Rogers says. I know what his stats are. I know how bad the team has been. I know everybody's been hyping him up, but I haven't been one of them. Because unlike a lot of people, I don't just recommend or go for people just because they have talent. Talent doesn't mean anything in the NFL if you don't get playing time, the opportunity, or the quarterback loves you if you're a wide receiver. If you don't have those things, you could have all the talent in the world and you'll just be a wait and see next year guy, which is what Corey Davis was. Now, for Corey Davis, so I am going to read you stats. And I'm going to read off stats. Not, like I said, I don't like doing it because I can skew them any which way. But I'm going to read you stats because they jump off at the page at you from this year compared to next year. Now, his schedule, along with their running, along with poor quarterback play, and Mariota not feeling his fingers or missing fingers or whatever he has going on there, it's all been bad. And he's done all of what he's done in those kinds of circumstances. And I don't know of another player that'll be able to be a powerhouse or be a number one or even a high-end number two with those kinds of things going on around him. Okay, so he has 56 targets, which ranks 18th in the NFL. He has 30 catches. Now, 56 targets, 30 catches, that's not that much. But of those 56 targets, only about 41 was catchable. So you're now looking at poor quarterback play along with just poor balls. Doesn't mean just because people look at targets as he's getting targets, not all targets are created equal. Can the targets be catchable? If he's targeted down the sideline, but the pass is 5 yards out of bounds, it's still a target, but it doesn't mean he could have caught it. So he has about 37% of a team's end zone targets. I don't like that number. For a guy that I'm touting as, possibly league breaker and being able to win you your league, 37's got to jump up to about 40, 42. 37's not bad, but I like 42 if he's going to be dominant in that way. That way, if he's not getting the targets, then he falls into the tight end category. So then he'll fall back on catches. On those catchable balls, on the balls that are catchable, he is about his on contested catches, he's at 50%, which ranks 17th in the NFL. So all these numbers I'm saying, even though I don't like saying numbers, I'm saying these numbers because if you're doing this when your quarterback's been terrible, your running game has been terrible, and his cornerback matchups have been difficult. And he's not a guy that runs very good routes. He's elite, but he in terms of talent, but he doesn't run very good routes. So if you have a top cornerback on him, don't start him. Just absolutely do not. If you have a top cornerback on him, do not start him. I guarantee it. He won't do much. Now, in weeks 1 through 5, Tennessee had the third highest wide receiver schedule for wide receivers. The third highest. Now in weeks 6 through 10, I know you think I'm going to tell you something positive. Not really. In weeks 6 through 10, it jumps to a whopping 6th highest. So we're getting better, but not by much. So Corey Davis, you can, most likely people are going to drop him because of the bye. So you can probably pick him up off waivers or offer someone the simplest trade and they'll give him to you. But I'm telling you, you should have him sitting on your roster after week 11 or week 10 to 11 going in there. You want Corey Davis on your team. Trust me, you want Corey Davis on your team. Can I say it again? I'm telling you, you want Corey Davis on your team. Everybody has bragged about him. But now everybody wants to cut bait with him. This is when, the whole when people are zigging, you zag. This is one of those, go get the guy and let him sit on your bench for a little bit. And then execute him, because fantasy seasons aren't won week 1 through 7. It's usually the guy that barely makes it into the playoffs that then has a hot streak because he has the guys that he's been sitting there waiting on, and the guys are finally doing well. The top guys, unless you had a Gurley or a David Johnson or whoever that just destroys numbers, those guys usually don't win fantasy seasons. The people who look ahead, the people who see things well before they are, because if you are not offering up trades right now that you think can benefit you in 4 or 5 weeks, if your team is decent, then you're not trying to win your championship. You're just not. All right. The next guy is someone I have in every league. And he's hurt me. Single tear rolls down the cheek. He's hurt me, right? Because, he hasn't been playing. But, in my eyes, top 7 every year, no matter what. Top 7. And I'm not going to list stats for him because it doesn't matter. Stats doesn't matter. That's not why you get him. Now, that player is Doug Baldwin. Doug Baldwin. Now, I don't need to list Doug Baldwin's stats. You can easily Google Doug Baldwin's stats. I don't need to go into the finites of his stats because, tell you the truth, I don't have that many for this year. But there's a plethora from the years prior. So, he averages about, in the last 2 seasons, he averaged 7.5 touchdowns. He's Russell Wilson's favorite target. And I don't know, people are talking, why isn't Russell Wilson the same? Why isn't Russell Wilson being a top level quarterback? Russell Wilson doesn't have his favorite target. Russell Wilson doesn't have his best friend, his safety blanket, his guy that he knows is going to beat coverage no matter what. And it shows. Now, the only thing about Doug Baldwin is knee injuries. How do you injure one knee, most of training camp out, come back and injure the other knee? How is that a thing? But he did. So, the last 2 weeks, what I've been looking for on film, watching all their games just to know, because this is the kind of guy you want to dump now if you see anything. If I saw anything on film, watching any of his routes, if I saw anything that said dump him, I would have gladly dumped him because this last game was decent and you could sell him for something. But I didn't see anything that hindered him. I didn't see anything that said his knee should be a worry. So that in itself tells me this is a guy you want to get off people's roster if they're worried. Once the guy was, but I get to watch film. And they're like, this guy may not be. You can go get him and it won't cost you that much. But this man finishes seasons with a flurry. And I'm sorry, 7.5 touchdowns. You average 7.5 touchdowns. You're gonna find a way to start getting back five of those. At least 5. 5 is his low mark for me going forward for him. His last game, he had 32% of the team's target. 32% is freaking high. I usually look for 25, 26 to tell me elite. He's just going to finish the season strong. Go get him. Listen, the beauty of this is you do this and you were floundering or you do any of these ads, you get to come back and say I was trash. But since this is my first year, I don't really have anything backing me. So if I get them wrong, then you get to not listen to me or not listen to me or go through anything I said. But I'm confident that if you pick these guys up and or trade for them, come end of the season, you're going to be happy that you have them. Now, the last guy, and I'm trying to keep these videos relatively short. Now, the last guy, I wish I had done. Like I said, I only started the channel about 4 days ago, 5 days ago, whatever. So most of the stuff that I've already handed out to friends, family, I I enjoy this stuff. So I literally hand out like I'm giving out draft guides and who to trade, how to trade in text, in whatever form, email form, whatever. I hand it out. So most of them have gotten this already. So I wish I had done this the week prior, because the week prior, then I would have been able to, for the next player, we would have been able to get him a lot cheaper. And that player is T.Y. Hilton. Now, the reason I said I wish I had done this earlier is previous games, he didn't catch much. I don't think he even played that much of his team's snaps. So, but he caught 2 touchdowns. So you catch 2 touchdowns, that's going to be hard to pry him out of anyone's hands if they've been holding on to him. But I would go get him some way, somehow. Now, like I said, I want to make this more personal show, so I can't tell you how to go get him because I don't know what the team consists of. I don't know what the other guy's team consists of. So send me a comment below, like, subscribe, hit the notifications, and tell me what you have, what you want. Maybe you send me an email. I could tell you how to go about getting him based on your team. In terms of trades, though, this is what I would say. Always make the person that you're trading with feel like they won the trade. It's not important for you to win, for look like you win the trade, if you know the reason you're getting the player. Like I traded Josh Gordon for Godwin and who was the player I traded for? Josh Gordon and what am I thinking? Sorry. For Josh Gordon, I traded for Godwin and Corey Davis. Now I knew I wasn't going to be able to use Corey Davis for a long time, but I knew as long as Josh Gordon was taking his time getting healthy in New England and he was going to come about, him and Godwin were probably going to give me the same type of level of production, and I wanted to have Corey Davis for the end of the season. So I was okay with that. I was absolutely okay with that. So it felt like he was winning, because if Josh Gordon becomes something in New England, then he's going to be one of the top players. But I'll tell you this, the reason I traded away Josh Gordon, if you were wondering, if you were asking why would you trade away Josh Gordon, when I looked at Josh Gordon on film, Josh Gordon seemed slow to me. He didn't have the same burst that he did that made him the great all-star. So he might be able to run routes and box people out, but I think he looks tight end-esque to me. And that's not what I want. Yeah, if New England can make that work, Tom Brady can make that work, great. But I'm not going through. I needed elite. If a player was going to New England and I saw for them to take over a lot, they have to be elite. And I didn't see that. So I figured Godwin and Davis, I wanted Davis anyway for later. Godwin was going to give me the same type of production, I thought. And it's been relatively the same, considering I got to use Godwin last week and he scored. But those are the types of trades you want to do. Stuff that makes the owner feel like they're winning, but you're getting what you want. So long as you're getting what you want, you ain't lose a trade. You ain't lose a trade so long as you're getting what you want. Just that don't give away something that, be sure about whether that player you're giving away is either going to remain the same, or if he goes above, it doesn't worry you because you got what you wanted. So T.Y. Hilton, right? He's been hurt the last 2 games and hasn't played. And the only worry about T.Y. Hilton, you know his stats, what they are with Andrew Luck. He's one of the prolific wide receivers in the league with Andrew Luck. My only worry going into the season was Andrew Luck. And it's taken Andrew Luck until last week and this week to finally look like Andrew Luck. He looks really healthy. And with Mac now running the ball and doing a decent job, don't buy into the Mac hype, by the way. Don't go too crazy on Mac. He's going to come back a little bit. But But yeah, as long as Mac is creating some kind of running, he doesn't have to be as elite as he's been the last 2 weeks. He just has to be able to be normal. I mean, the running backs they had before weren't very good. So long as he's doing that, and Andrew Luck can then do play action, which then gets Hilton open. But Hilton gets a fair amount target. He runs a route on 80% of his pass plays when he's in the game. 80% of pass plays. That's number one in the NFL. That is number one in the NFL. Now, it's going to be harder to get him because of the 2 touchdowns he scored when he came back against Buffalo, but it's worth getting him. His schedule is not that easy, but this is the type of player where you don't worry about schedule, really. You put him out there. There are a few people that could stay with Hilton when he's right and he's running long-distance routes, and Andrew Luck has time to throw him the ball. So go get him. I don't need to list targets, stats for all these guys. The 2, Baldwin and Hilton, they're well-known guys, but who has either been injured and hasn't shown the same production, and the team that has them may have suffered because of it. So you can offer them something that looks enticing, and go get them. But those are 5 guys, 5 guys that I'm gonna put a guarantee on this. That's going to be productive for you come end of season, and most likely win you championships. This has been the Fantasy Backpack. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button, comment, especially comment. Ask me questions, start, sit, waivers, whatever you want. But like I said, I want this to be a personalized type thing. If I don't know who you're playing, what's your position, I can't really give you a recommendation. Anyone who tells you, okay, start this guy, start that guy, and they don't know your team, it's a pipe dream. It's all hope. It's just, okay, he might do well. He might do better than that guy. But maybe the guy I'm telling you to start, they're telling you to start, maybe he has a lower floor and you just need to average out. So all you need is 4 catches and 45 yards, where that guy might get 3 catches and 32 yards. There's a huge difference. So get these guys on your roster. These are the football backpack championship. These guys are in the backpack already. They're waiting to take you to the championship. Till next time.